Thank you guys so much for returning for our celebration of 100 years of Black history. As I told you last year, I had learned about a Black Canadian man. And so I wanted to continue along those lines of learning about Black history across the diaspora. So today, we will be learning about a Black man from the continent of Africa. His name is David Kato. He was known as Uganda's first gay man. His story is inspirational, but also somewhat saddening. So, just as a trigger warning, we will be discussing some sensitive topics. But I do believe that it is important for us to talk about his story because much of what's happened in Uganda is also something that could happen here in the United States, and honestly, already on its way. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. So before we begin, I do want to just ask y'all to excuse my pronunciation of some of these words. I did try to learn them as best as I could while researching about David Kato, but sometimes, it's not always the best when you're recording. So please charge it to my head, not my heart, if I do not pronounce some of these things correctly. David Kato was born on February 13th, 1964 to the Kasule clan in the ancestral village of Nakawala. Prior to David Kato's activism work, he was a teacher. He studied at King's College, Budo, and Kambogo University. He would teach at the Nile Vocational Institute in Njeru. But in 1992, all of that would change because he would come to discover his sexuality in a club in South Africa. He would soon go back to Uganda in 1997 and begin his activism work. David Kato would become one of the earliest members of SMUG, Sexual Minorities Uganda, where he would become the Advocacy and Litigation Officer, where he would document the oppression and atrocities of the LGBT community in Uganda. In 2010, a local newspaper by the name of Rolling Stone newspaper would out 100 gay Ugandan men and call for their execution. The predatory publication used journalists in a method they called disguising to infiltrate the LGBT community and further put them in harm's way. The article would essentially make false claims about the community, accusing certain individuals of knowingly spreading HIV and preying on underage youth. David Kato was one of those men that was exposed in this newspaper article. He and SMUG would go on to file a suit of defamation against Rolling Stone newspaper. They would win this case, and it would begin the first steps of decriminalizing homosexuality in Uganda. This case would put Uganda on a worldwide stage because essentially queer people in the country had no rights. Its constitution would make it so. It would ban HIV testing, which we know doesn't just affect gay people. It would also ban the aiding of gay people. You could be in prison for up to 3 years for not reporting a gay person to the authorities. And of course, it would ban gay marriage. Uganda's parliament would even employ missionaries from, you guessed it, the United States of all places, to spread falsehoods about the LGBT community, further confirming the biases of Ugandans in the country that people that were gay were evil and immoral. Now, David Kato and SMUG would win their case against Rolling Stone newspaper in November of 2010. But unfortunately, on January 26, 2011, David Kato would be assassinated. He was attacked by a man wielding a hammer, and David Kato would pass away due to head trauma while being transported to the hospital. His assailant would be arrested and charged for the murder of David Kato. Now, David Kato's death would make international news. All of this was happening while I was in high school in 2011, so I wasn't paying attention to any of this, but it would even go to the UN, and they would vote for Uganda to cease its oppressive nature towards the queer community there. I do believe that it is also what kept the anti-homosexuality bill at bay in Parliament for so long, because they didn't even vote on it in 2012 at the end of its Parliament session. In 2012, a documentary of David Kato's last years and activism would be released called Call Me Kuchu. And essentially, Kuchu is just a slang term that Ugandans use that is derived from Swahili that means queer. It's kind of like when black queer folks say to each other, girl, you family? This documentary is also what helped me do a lot of the research for this video that I'm making for you all today. And I felt like it was only so poignant because of so much that is going on in our world. Unfortunately, in September of 2023, Uganda did pass its anti-homosexuality bill. And honestly, in this country, we're meeting some of the same fate. If you are not a cisgender white male, girl, things are happening for you, and our rights are being taken away as quickly as you can say Bob's your uncle. So, I hope I was able to teach you something today about Black history on a diasporic level, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, because you could have been anywhere else in the internet, but you decided to watch me. Bye!